There. Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our meetup tonight. I'm John Cappello, and this is the Beyond Metaphysics meetup. We're a psychic group. We're a group that talks about metaphysical issues, and we have been around quite a long time. This group started in 2007, and it grew to well over 2,000 for over the years. But during the pandemic, so many things changed. People no longer were willing to drive to a location, and because of the traffic in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and because of COVID. So I discontinued the group for a while, but now I'm starting it up again, and it looks like we're going to have to go online. So I hope to bring you many different speakers, and we have one tonight. I hope to bring you many different opportunities to learn about metaphysics or learn from my work and from the work of the guests that I hope to bring in. So thank you all for being here. If you don't mind, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and the screen will be about my PowerPoint. And tonight we have our special guest is Annmarie Touchette. And Annmarie has been in the metaphysical business. She's been a psychic medium for maybe not as long as I have, maybe, because I'm too old for her. So, but we've known each other a long time. And so Annmarie is well respected in the metaphysical community, and not only in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, but also in the New Orleans area, Louisiana area, and also in Florida. So she has been in a lot of places and has established herself as a very, very reputable psychic in many areas. And so I'm really delighted that she decided to join us tonight. She was unable to join us on my radio program, which is called The Psychic Side. It's on the Psychic Radio Network. It's every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central. You can find it either on askoneradio.com, or you can go to YouTube at Moonstruck TV, or you can maybe watch us almost live on Facebook. Facebook is Psychic Radio. That's the name of the particular their page. So tonight we're going to be talking about predictions for this year. And so what I did was I have been inviting people on my radio program to give me their predictions. And so far I've had 2 different psychics, and I hope to have several more each on the Tuesdays of January. And then I will probably present my predictions that you will hear tonight on the radio program at a later date. But tonight I want to go ahead and get started with Annmarie. But before I do, I want to just talk a little bit about the reality of predictions. I'm going to ask Annmarie to go ahead and give her predictions and talk a little bit about herself. And if you don't mind, Annmarie, I'd like for you to tell people what's going on with you and where you're going to be and just different things. If you have a website, I want you to be sure to tell people about that. And then I'll give you my predictions, and then we can maybe turn off the camera a little bit if you want to have some discussion about your feelings about this year, and then go from there. So what I want to do is I want to just say that predictions are as only good as the strength of the energy that they are sensed. Psychics can make a prediction and not the prediction, because other energies and free choice have a role in an event's path. You know, a lot of people ask psychics, oh, am I going to win the lottery? Well, it's very, very hard to predict who's going to win the lottery. And of course, we would win the lottery if we could do that. but there is an energy around the lottery, but it's random. And because the numbers, when you see them going through that little box that when they jumble them up, it makes it random. And so it's hard for the psychic to grasp that energy. And I'm not saying it can't be done. It's just I can't do that. And it would be rare for someone with a very, very rare talent to be able to do such things. But we can see energy paths, and we can see where the predominant energy is for us on kind of a different line or a path based on our own abilities. And so this is all that we can do. And it's very, very difficult for psychics to be 100%. But what we hope is that we have a high percentage of accuracy, regardless of what happens. We hope that we can hit something with a high percentage level. So I asked Annmarie to be here tonight because I trust her, and I think that she is a very credible psychic, a very good one as well. I've also invited other people on my show, and I invite you to listen to them or watch them on Moonstruck TV if you have a chance. So it's like I say, predictions are as good as the strength of the energy, and we can only make one a prediction, not the prediction, because of the other energies. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and kind of turn things over to Annmarie, if you don't mind, Annmarie, and I'd like for you to let people know a little bit about yourself and just go with the flow if you want. Just talk, and if you want some interaction, that's fine. But we don't necessarily have to talk while you are speaking. So I mean, I'm going to do a little bit. Let me ask you questions as you go, but I'm just going to turn things over to you. Okay.
Okay. Good. Thank you so much, John. Thank you for having me on the show. It's always fun to be in your energy field, and I commend you for everything you're doing. Yeah, predictions, it's like it's all free will and free choice. We say this is and when we do any readings and we do any kind of service work, we say it's for entertainment purposes only, because we can't be 100%, and because there's free will and free choice on everything. So and it goes the same way with these predictions, even though some people will follow astrology and they'll say, oh, okay, the planets line up that this is going to happen for sure on this day and time. And then it doesn't, because free will and free choice out there on the planet. So we never know. And I've been around a long time. Since dirt was new, I think. I don't know. I've certainly watched the planet change, and the kids today it's always a fun to watch the new generation coming up. I've been, like John said, I've been to spend some time in New Orleans. I've spent some time in Florida. I'm a spiritualist life coach, as far as I like to take people and that are just starting to wake up and take them on their journey to realize that we're all spiritual beings. We're having this human experience. We're all a little bit psychic. We have that natural ability and a sense of humor we've got to have, for sure. 2020, this year, 2024, it's a leap year. This is one of the years that we have an extra day in February. So it's leap year time. February 29th is going to be this year. It's and they say, I just saw in the news today that they said the 2024 calendar is an exact duplicate of a calendar that was back 28 years ago in 1996. That, we talk about how history repeats itself and things repeat itself. This calendar 1996 is exact duplicate of the 2024 calendar. Every day, every holiday, because it was a leap year then, but it's just one of those phenomena where if you have the calendar from 1996, you don't need one for 2024. If you have that in your, archive somewhere. But I just thought that was interesting, that how, when we say history repeats itself, and then here we go, we've got a calendar from 1996 that is an exact duplicate of the calendar for 2024. So there's got to be something in somebody's mind about that. I don't know, with a leap year. And it's also in Chinese astrology, it's the year of the dragon. And that's supposed to be, if you're a dragon, I guess it's a good thing. If you were born in the year of the dragon, but it's supposed to be about prosperity and finding your goals and your things, which fits in with the numerology. The numerology number for this year is 8. So there's all kinds of good stuff and good possibilities for 2024. Excuse me. And it all depends on, it's back to the free will and free choice, what everybody's journey and what everybody's on. But last year was a 7-year in numerology. It's about yourself and spirituality and finding your personal growth. And an 8-year is always about finances and where we're going abundantly and what projects, if you're an entrepreneur or want to be one, it's an opportunity to grow in different areas. It's either make it or break it kind of year like we've seen in the past, but this year is going to be interesting as we go the next year and a half. And we start out, we'll talk about the weather because we're right in it. It's winter. It just came in, decided to hit some weather patterns that we're going to be watching over the next couple of days. Here, especially, we're supposed to get, I don't think we're going to be like it was last year in Texas and the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Anyways, we had a bad storm. We had an ice storm that kind of, everybody was, kind of couldn't go out for 3 days, I think it was, where the ice was so bad. And, to prevent accidents and injuries, everybody kind of stayed in, which was good for me because I had just moved into this apartment. So I get to stay in and get settled in. So it was perfect timing for me. I was good with it. I think this winter we're going to see it's going to be kind of a hard winter. It's going to start off kind of hard all over the globe for as far as the temperatures in the winter, but I don't think it's going to be at Texas. I think it's going to be okay. The rest of, some places that normally don't have bad weather, I think are going to go through it. We're seeing that global warming. So the cold shifts are in for sure. Places that normally are warm are going to experience some more cold is what I feel. More of the southern states are going to be a little colder than usual. And the states that usually get hit hard are not going to get hit as hard this year with the snowstorms, but they're going to be out there in different areas. Things are shifting around. So what I get a lot of that kind of shifting. With odd disasters, odd things happening. I think there's still going to be some fires out in California that we saw with the fires and the mudslide. They're still trying to, there's things going on out that way. Tornadoes are, I think the last year, year and a half, they've been strong. I think we're going to see more tornadoes blowing around. So just be aware of how the weather patterns are going to maybe increase a little bit more than they have in the last 2 years. Last year, I was worried about Hawaii, and sure enough, something over in, look what happened to Maui area. I still think there's something that may be happening to Hawaii or maybe some other smaller islands. The smaller islands, I think, are in trouble with hurricanes, tsunamis, that turn the bad weather. There may be some situations out there that we're going to have to watch. March and April. I don't know. I keep getting a lot of information about April. I think April is just going to be a month to watch. I think there may be just a lot of things going on as we're coming into spring. We've got a lot of Mercury retrograde and eclipses going on in beginning of April. I think at beginning of April, the Mercury goes retrograde for the first time this year. It's going to be in, I think, for the month of April, until about the 25th, which really affects the whole month. And that's also, I think, on the 8th, the first weekend, is the new moon, and that's going to have a solar eclipse around that. So that energy right there with the Mercury going retrograde and the new moon, the solar eclipse, I think April is going to be one of those kind of churning kind of months. We're going to see a lot of activity, people, places, situations, stuff and things. More kind of crazy things, March, April, kind of like what we just had here in Fort Worth. We had a gas explosion, I guess it was.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Something, yeah. That fortunately there wasn't a lot of any fatalities, but it was one of those weird explosions, and then that shut down part of downtown Fort Worth, the Sundance Square area. So, and they're not sure what hit that, what happened to that. They're still investigating. But weird things like that, we're gonna, like things are gonna happen. Go, people, how'd that happen? Why would that happen there or something? Just kind of oddities. I think we're gonna see next year with the weather and just people and we can do the health thing with the keep healthy, because we're not done with these viruses that have been coming in. You see some places people are back to wearing masks, or not. It's airborne. I don't think, I'm just, don't get me going about masks. But I think it's the main message is just to stay healthy ourselves. Listening to your own body is really important. Your body knows what, to tell you when it's not feeling good, get some rest. If you're not feeling good, don't go outside. Don't go making it worse and spreading anything that you feel you might have germs. And then if you feel you've been around people that have been sick, there's enough supplements and products out there on the market to keep healthy. For us, just healthy food, supplements, exercise, whatever keeps yourself healthy. It's going to be about our keeping healthier this year. I think that's important. Time. And with I think a lot of anxiety and stress creates a lot of our health issues. My thoughts. It's that when we bring it on with anxiety and you get a little bit and people can blow it out of proportion. And that's, I think that's with the economy, fluctuating prices. I don't think we're going to see it. Hopefully, eggs and toilet paper aren't another, something else they'll come up with this year. Maybe what are we running out of? But I think for the most part, that's I think gas prices may be, steady, not going as high. What I'm seeing, and this is going to, I think, increase over the next couple of years, just economy-wise, financially-wise. More and more businesses are trying to make us go cashless. Debit cards only, no money. Have you seen that, John? Have you seen some places where money isn't real anymore?
Well, it's too much liability to have cash.
Yeah,
because of the way the crime is.
right. And that's when debit cards first came out, when they were 20 something years ago, when they first came out with the debit cards. That was the purpose of it, was because if you can't rob you if you don't have any cash.
Yeah.
Cut down on crime, businesses, getting robbed for carrying large amounts of cash. So that's been the motive for putting out the debit cards, is to merely make it a cashless society. Now we have a restaurant here in Fort Worth in the Stockyards, Joe T. Garcia's. They've been there probably 40, 50 years. They're cash only. They're cash only.
Yeah.
They do have an ATM machine there. They're
Well,
smart.
the problem with being cashless is that other people gain control of your money. And, and there could be a time when they decide, well, it's your money, but we're keeping it.
Yeah.
So that's the danger.
That's the danger, just because your bank account says you have extra amount, try and get it.
Yeah. That's part of the deal with cryptocurrency. And like, I'll let you speak, but like the Chinese have their own cryptocurrency, but if you have Chinese cryptocurrency, then if they don't like you, they can turn off your currency. So
Yeah.
that's a terrible thing. And where they're trying to get that here in the United States now. So,
Well, yeah, and how do you cash it in and how do you get it and how do you use it has
yeah.
been, you know, some people say I have all this money in Bitcoin or crypto, but I don't know how to get it.
Yeah. Well, you have to convert it to dollars. Yeah, in order to use it for the
Yeah,
most part. They're trying to change that, but it's going to be a long time.
it's going to take a while for any of this, like the cashless things. And then they're trying to do, I mean, more and more of the stores want to go self-checkout. You know, we see Dollar Tree. I was in the Dollar Tree and they've got self-checkout registers. $1.25, $1.25, $1.25. It's like, really? Dollar Tree. We have, this is, I don't work here either, but you know, where's my lunch break? You know, but we're getting, and people just do it. I mean, you know, and then I think along with that, not only are they making it, you know, more self-checkouts, but the bags, you know, the plastic we know is not good for the environment anyways. And a lot of the countries, I know Canada for one, and I'm sure there's other that you pay for a plastic bag. I think Sprouts just started doing it too. 5 cents if you know, to bring your own bag, or if you want to use one of our plastic ones, it's 5 cents. And that's good because that's for the environment. I mean, the plastic has been a problem. And I think we're going to see more and more places encouraging. I think it's, you know, there's some states that it's a thing. You carry your own bag. Recycling is really good for the environment, and having your own, provide your own bags. I mean, what do we do with all these plastic bags? You can only use them for your trash cans so long, and you can recycle them. But so have you seen that where more and more places are wanting us to bring our own, especially the
They do
grocery?
that at Petco. At Petco, you know, if you have a pet, they don't want to give you a bag for whatever you buy there. So
Yeah, yeah. We're going to see more and more of that trend happening where, you know, this started with the grocery stores and it's going to go, I think that's going to catch on. People have bags, use them. So I think that's a good thing for the environment. And how much time do we have? What are we on?
yeah, you have a few more minutes. So do you
Okay.
have anything like on the Oscars or anything? Is Barbie going to win an Oscar? Or
Barbie should win an Oscar. She put up with, you know,
she won some Emmys? That's great.
Why not?
So, so I know the elephant in the room is the election. So,
Oh, yeah.
so if you want to, if you're not done, or do you have any ideas on the election or what's going to happen there?
Oh, that's, you know, that's the, you know, that, you know, like you said, nobody wants to go there, because even if we do an astrology chart on a candidate, that doesn't mean that something isn't going to change it. And
Right.
I think, oh, it's not going to be what people think. You know, we create a lot. We get hyped up, we get all about a candidate, we get all excited, and then, you know, we have to wonder, you know, does our vote matter? Does our votes really count? I think this year is going to be, it's not going to be like January 6th with that, you know, craziness, but I think people are not going to be happy with the results again. I like DeSantis only because I lived in Florida for 4 years. There was talk about him running for president. I like a lot of good things about him. I lived there. He did right by the state, you know, and I think he's got a lot of good principles. He's got a lot of good values. Whether he'll be able to go forward with them, because once you're president, you know, are you really in control of anything? So that's my prediction is DeSantis. I think it's, you know, people are going to uprise. I think there should be, as we go into next year, people just sit back and take it. We complain about the gas prices, we complain about the food prices, but who do we complain to? And we've learned, I think, that uprisings and craziness sparks, what good does it do? Nothing is accomplished unless somebody either gets hurt or gets thrown in jail or.
So so you're saying that you believe DeSantis will be the next president, but you're also saying that people aren't going to be happy about it. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, people are going to be happy about their candidate not winning. And I think that we need to start doing petitions. It's the Constitution is based on we the people, and we the people get it doesn't do any good to riot and rally. Start signing petitions, put petitions out there, put people in the front lines to make changes in what they don't like about the government. Because I think down the road, what we're going to see as we go 2030 and 2050, it's going to be a changing in politics and in things. And I'm feeling that each state is going to do their own thing. Each state kind of does it now, but there's going to be more, this is what we do. If you don't like it, move. This is what we do. We're running our state and we're running it this way, more or less than having a central Washington.
So, Pluto is in the same position it was in the United States chart as it was during the American Revolution. So, do you think that we may have less of a government and more of a 50 countries, or do you think we might have different coalitions of states as a new alliances, and when do you think that's going to happen? After the election, or what's your feeling on that?
I feel this is going to be a tipping point for people to realize that does their vote count? Does my vote really go through? What are, questioning the whole electoral system, really looking and questioning politics over the next couple of years. I don't think anything really shifts until we get into 2030 to 2050. We're going to see a whole shifting in the political thing. But yeah, like I said, each state is going to be taking responsibility for them. It's more of, we the people in each state. There's going to be some kind of shift. Don't know what it's going to be about, but it has to happen. That's what the astrology chart is about, we're in the time of the Revolutionary War and the war times, and look at the wars and what's going on.
Yeah.
It's done, China, Korea, who knows what's going to come up next and decide to fight. Because we're in that, we've got to shift that energy.
Yeah.
Of, make love, not war.
Yeah. Well, very good. Well, do you have anything else that you'd like to share tonight?
I don't know. I can go way out there and out on a limb and throw it out there that I predict that down the road of 2026, maybe mid 2026, 2027, that we'll see the UFO. Maybe we'll have a first contact.
Okay. Well, very good. Well, you're being recorded, so we got you.
Beat me up, Scotty, please.
Well, very good. Well, thank you so much, Ann. If you don't mind, Annmarie, please stay around and listen to what I have to say.
Yeah.
I ramble. So we'll move on to our next area. And so we're going to talk a little bit about the numerology of 2024, and then the astrology of the United States for 2024. And then I'll give some psychic predictions as well. So I'm going to break mine up. And for me, I'm going to try to stay as succinct as possible, because I want to be careful with what I say too. But Annmarie, you're right about the year 2024 resonates with the number 8, and of course it just adds up to 8. This is the way people do it. Instead of saying 1/1/2024, they always go with the actual year to resonate the personal year of that time period. But even if you did 2024 and added 1/1 to it, then it would be a 1 year. But we're going to go with 8 because that's the one that people generally use. And so 8 is the year for manifestation. Would you agree with that, Annmarie? manifestation. So positively, for me, it means you can manifest wealth and prosperity this year. But whenever there is a positive, there's also a negative. And so this year, as I make my predictions, I'm going to go out on a limb and say certain things, but then again, I'm going to also say the opposite, because I see I look back at my 2020 predictions, and some of the opposite things happen. So you have to be careful when you're in an 8 year. It's kind of like Jupiter in astrology. Jupiter is the planet of expansion and prosperity and luck and spirituality. But if you overexpand, if you get too confident, and you get in a lot of debt because you're trying to overexpand, then you can manifest discord. Okay, so just because it's an 8 year, which the Chinese and the Oriental culture loves, they love the number 8. They despise the number 4. They like the number 8, but it can mean that if you overdo things this year, then you can manifest discord to the extent that things get out of control. So it's a year to be confident. It's a year to do your best to move forward, and be a little bit unafraid, but make sure that you have a little bit of a filter and you look at covering your bases before you make too big of a leap. Sometimes it's better to go up methodically, step by step, versus leaping up to the top of the staircase. So just be careful about that. And I think we're going to see, because it's a number 8, you may wind up seeing some more bankruptcies that might be unexpected, because because of people over expanding. This might be the year of mergers as well. And I know that I was hearing about how Chevron has merged a couple of times, and they've gotten to be a bigger company. And there's going to be some other mergers, I feel like, that are going to be significant this year. So watch for that. Now, also, astrology for the United States, I don't have the chart up here. And while we're recording, I'm not going to show it. But if you want to stay after my presentation, I'll bring up the chart for the United States. But right now, the big deal for the United States is the action of Pluto, as Annmarie and I were talking about. Pluto has been in Capricorn for the last 15 to 20 years. And if you are an Aries, Cancer, Libra, or a Capricorn, you may have experienced a great deal of discord in your life because of that energy. Pluto in Capricorn generally means corruption in government, corrupt power. It means that Pluto does its best to reveal that corruption, and it doesn't necessarily solve it, but it reveals it. So whether you're a fan of Joe Biden or a fan of Donald Trump, you can say that in each case, corruption was uncovered, and those areas that when they went under scrutiny, if they were not corrupt, they survived, and those that were corrupt had to go away. And I think one of the better things to look at is the media. And you look at all the media personalities, liberal and conservative, who are no longer on the main channels, like cable channels or main legacy media programs. People like Brian Williams, people like Chris Matthews, Charlie Rose, Bill O'Reilly, so on and so forth. There was corruption with each one of them, usually around some type of sexual dysfunction, which is also Pluto. Pluto is also about sex for the wrong reasons, if you want to call it that. Rape. It's about a lot of violence. But these are the people that were major casualties in the media. with that Pluto energy. And it's good that they had to be held accountable, and they were held accountable. But what's going to happen is that this corruption that we've been seeing in the United States, which continues to be very pervasive, is going to give way to a new energy, in my view. Because when Pluto enters into Aquarius, Aquarius is going to deal with it, okay? They're not going to solve the corruption, but what they're going to do is they're going to react to it. And if you've ever taken one of my astrology classes, you will know that I teach that every sign is a reaction to the previous sign. So with the corruption that has gone on and been revealed in Capricorn, Aquarius is going to say, I'm not playing anymore. Just like Annmarie was saying, just like you were saying, Annmarie, about people saying, I'm fed up, I'm not going to deal with it, I'm going to go my own way. And so the age of a corruption, or the period of corruption, is really, in my view, going to give way to a period of estrangement, okay? Because people have been so intransigent on the left and on the right that those that have been trying to be in the middle may not stay in the middle any longer. They might say, okay, the heck with both of you, because both sides are extreme. I'm going to go my own path. And that's probably a good thing, because people are going to be looking out for themselves and not necessarily going to be trying to change others. And those that are trying to change people are going to be ignored, and they're going to be frustrated because people aren't going to listen to them anymore, because they haven't proven to be correct. And that includes psychics and astrologers, and people that get too much on their high horse, or too much in one direction or extreme. People are going to rear back and say, wait a minute, I don't know if I want to do that anymore. So that's just kind of the energy of Aquarius. Aquarius is going to bring in a lot of new things, space age type or UFO like medical advancements. It's going to bring in the robotics, the flying cars, the self-driving cars, all of those things in the next 20 years. Those things that are going to be a reality. We're due for them. Flying taxis, things of that nature. We can't keep driving on the roads the way we're driving anymore. There's just too many cars out there. There's going to have to be some new methods of transportation, whether it be the vacuum tunnels underneath the ground or whatever. Those things are going to be coming to fruition. So look for that. In this year, we're going to start to see some of that new technology start to take hold, and it's going to change our homes again. Okay, more robots are in our near future. I think that it just seems to me that the entertainment industry is going to continue with their left-wing ideology, but it's going to be tempered by the lack of sales, the lack of acceptance of the public for movies that don't necessarily fit people's own sense of morality or sense of justice. It's not that people want to cut other people out. It's just they don't want to be proselytized when they're being entertained. Okay, so it just seems that this reshuffling of DEI is going to be continued. Some of it's going to be abandoned, not all of it. Those who are extremely passionate for it will remain passionate, but they're not going to have the bully pulpit that they had at one time. They're no longer the main voices that are going to be heard, because this weariness is starting to take over in the United States. Unfortunately, what's going to give way from estrangement is another energy, which might be people start fighting, and the states may start to separate. when the authorities start to separate, watch out, because that could mean the set the stage for the next civil war. I know what I'm saying sounds extreme, but looking at the chart and looking at the history of these planets, where they were and the last time they were there, it's the chances of it happening is very real. Happening is very real. We're getting ready to see Neptune, which is now in the third house of communications of the United States, moving to the fourth house. And that's the last time it was there was when we had the Civil War of the United States. So that's happened. That's going to happen in the next 15, 20 years, just like Annmarie said. I'm being a little bit more direct about it. I hope the United States does not break up, but we're already seeing states like New York not accepting, and then they've done this for a while though, not accepting the driver's license of Texans. And so Texans may start doing that with New Yorkers. And so there's going to be this battle between the states. And you see now that a lot of northern states, they don't think the border's closed. They think it's Greg Abbott's fault. So you know, we're living here in the South and we shake our heads saying, how can it be Greg Abbott's fault? You know, but that's their perspective, and that's going to remain. They're just not going to change their sanctuary status, sanctuary city status, state situations, and so all of this is going to continue to grow and be more and more out of control. But people are going to start looking at themselves and saying, "What's best for me?" Okay, and so this is what's happening. It's a trend, and right now the trend is the friend. The trend is the way that things are moving, and psychically it just feels like things have not hit bottom, and until they hit a certain point where there's something kinetic or an event like maybe Annmarie's talking about, unless there's some events that are almost catastrophic, whether they be foreign or domestic, it seems to me that we've got a ways to go. We may see something extraordinary, maybe not in 2024, but we may see something like a city, a relatively large city being taken over by terrorists, and the authorities aren't able to reclaim that city until a larger force comes in, and that may be the need to solicit states that may not be friendly to the state where it happened. We haven't seen the end of the budget crisis because we keep kicking a can down the road. It's going to get worse before it gets better. So let me just see here some of these other things. I guess what I kept feeling and seeing is that society is going to continue to lumber on, okay? But the shrill voices of dissent, of resistance, are going to be looked at like, you didn't like what we had, but this is what you're giving us. This is what you brought us. You brought us inflation, you brought us riots, you brought us all of these things. And people don't seem to mind. And now I want to kind of turn a little bit to the election. And one of the things I tried to meditate on for the election was, what's the trends? Where are the trends? And so you can say, well, there are certain trends that are not favorable to the current president, and other trends that are favorable to him. And for me, I looked at people that I felt were could be most affected by the 2024 election. And one of the groups I looked at was the pipe fitters union. And the pipe fitters union is the union of people who are plumbers and people who worked on pipelines, major pipelines, and people that maintain those pipelines. And during the 2020 election period, we had the Keystone Pipeline under construction, and it looked like it could have been completed. And at the time, there were thousands of pipe fitter union members working on that project. And at that time, candidate Joe Biden said he was going to close the pipeline, and he was going to make it difficult for other pipelines to be constructed. And so I said to myself, well, if you're a pipeline guy, you're not going to be in favor of that. But I looked to see, and the pipeline union supported Joe Biden. And sure enough, when he got into office, he canceled the Keystone Pipeline, and immediately 8,000 of their members lost jobs. 3,000 other people lost jobs. $900 million worth of wages went away, and they were told they were going to get green energy jobs that never materialized. So I said to myself, let's look and see if they've said anything about the 2024 election. Well, they have. They've made their determination. And that determination is that they are supporting Joe Biden. So in one sense, it doesn't make sense that some group would rather lose their jobs, have their members suffer, but they went ahead and are supporting Joe Biden, along with 17 other unions. And so it tells me something else is going on here. Something else is going on here. And if Donald Trump is the nominee, and I'm not sure he will be, but I'm going to say that he is, because it does look like, unfortunately, for Ann, Governor DeSantis's kind of campaign is starting to fade a little bit, and Nikki Haley seemed to be growing. And then Chris Christie, as of this recording, has dropped out of the race. So there's only 4 candidates basically left, and that's Donald Trump, Nikki Haley, Ron DeSantis, and Vivek Ramaswamy. So it looks like it's going to become between Donald Trump and Nikki Haley, but I just have a feeling that her campaign is going to fade after New Hampshire. That's my feeling. And for my feeling, I'm not sure that Ron DeSantis will be around for the election, but I also feel like he's going to be waiting in the wings, waiting to have his shoulder tapped on. So, but I feel like if Joe Biden lives, he will be the nominee, and I feel like, in my view, I feel like he will be elected the next president again, because I feel like the trend of the United States is left. And I feel like states like California are the new model for the United States. And I feel like if you have a good economy and people are employed like they are now, and the employment continues to be low, then I feel like the economy will be a major factor in reelecting the current president. So it's not maybe what I would like, but it's my feeling. It's the feeling of the trend, and it's the feeling that Donald Trump is going to continue to gap. I think that looking at his chart, he has Saturn in the 7th house. Now, Annmarie, I don't know if you know everything about the 7th house, but the 7th house is partnerships. Is that right?
Yeah.
But it's also open enemies. It's also legal problems, and he is right on the path of having all the legal problems of that are being demonstrated in this chart. If he happens to win every one of them, then he could be reelected. The reason why I can't talk too much about Ron DeSantis is because I don't have his chart. I mean, his chart is available. Nikki Haley's chart's not really available. We know she's a 29-degree Capricorn, but we don't know what time she was born. So we don't know what houses are being affected in her chart. But we do know about Donald Trump, and we know that his 7th house is a mess right now. Melania Trump just lost her mother. So these are all things that lots of loss around his partner. He's not getting divorced, which sometimes Saturn in the 7th house means. But we're just going to have to see if he overcomes these things. But it's unlikely he's going to overcome every one of them. There are 91 charges against him. So it's going to be very difficult for him to do that. So it's still up in the air if he'll be the nominee. We'll have to see if Ron DeSantis surges. Right now, for me, the energy is low for him. But if it does, that's fine. We'll just see what happens. But we also see in Joe Biden's chart, his Saturn is in the third house of communication. So the third house of communication with Saturn there, loss or no communication. So that's how he won the last election. He did very few interviews. He did very few appearances. And that's the strategy he's going to use. He's going to not say much. And he's going to run on the economy being good enough to get him reelected. And his main thing is, I'm not Donald Trump. So we haven't seen a real vision for him, and we need to see that vision. But I don't think he needs it. I don't think he needs it. He has the social media in his corner. He has the legacy media. He has the legal community. He has the banking community. He has the pharmaceutical community. He has the entertainment industry. He has so many industries and so much money. He's still collecting more money than the Donald Trump campaign or anybody. So there's so much energy as far as money is concerned behind him. It's going to be a difficult path for anyone to beat him. I also have a feeling that he would prefer to die while in office so he can be an American icon, and so that he cannot be held accountable for anything that might be construed as illegal, like not handling the border or not handling the issues that are of the day. So I feel like I'm mixing a little bit of astrology and psychic work in here, and so that's why, like I say, I think that it still has to be there to figure it out. But we also see Chiron in transiting the fourth house of the United States. And if you stay after this recording, I'll show you what I'm talking about. Chiron, if you don't know, was the god who was the son of Zeus and a human. And he wound up being exiled on an island, which is now called Chiron. But everyone would come to Chiron to help them heal their wounds, whether they be emotional or whatever. But Chiron was never able to heal his own wounds. And that's where we're at right now. The country is having a difficult time coming together. And it's not, I can't say anyone's right, anyone's wrong. People like me, who I consider myself a moderate, because I don't want to be an extremist on the left, and I don't want to be an extremist on the right, because I listen to them and I want to pull my hair out. So, but I'm just saying that I don't see us coming together. I don't see any compromise. I don't see anyone saying anything but make me, and that's a bad attitude to have, because we're spiraling towards a kinetic civil war again, which is something I really, really don't want to see. It may not be for the next 20 years. I may not be here. So some of you younger folks may be here. Don't do it. Like Joe Biden says, don't. So, but don't, because you don't want anyone to be hurt. So this is kind of what I see, and I feel like we have to be real careful about what's going. Now, Joe Biden will continue to run for president. He has Uranus in his sixth house, which is the house of health. And if you know anything about Uranus, Uranus is about sudden change, and it's late in his sixth house. You see a general decline in his mental capacity, but he seems to be pretty sharp in many ways. But he does risk a potential health issue. Now, I said that he wasn't going to win the 2020 election because Uranus was in his 5th house. And it was in his 5th house when he lost his son. The 5th house is about children, potential loss of a child, but it can also be about risk. And so he was taking a big risk running for president. But some way or another, the universe decided to make him president. Whereas with Donald Trump, Saturn was in his 5th house. And so his gamble was a loss, was a definite loss. If he had used the energy better, if he hadn't been a whiner, if he hadn't played the victim role, if he had a better vision, if he had run a better campaign, instead of firing his campaign managers more than once, he might have won. But he didn't win, and he refuses to accept it. And I think that that's going to hurt him because once again, Americans are still want to be a legal society, even though we see some courts not following the law. They're simply making decisions because they can. And it's disturbing, and people won't put up with it too much longer. But when I say too much longer, they'll let it go for maybe another 10, 20 years, but it's going to have to change. So that's kind of what I'm seeing. So the Donald Trump will make inroads with women this year. He will make some inroads with minorities this year. But the overwhelming opposition from the elite class and legal issues, he will have difficulties. He will continue to gap and call people names and further alienate the mainstream public. And we're tired of it. We're tired of it. We're tired of all that. But we haven't had that charismatic leader come up. I just don't feel like Nikki Haley is that charismatic leader to really come and bring the country together. So that's where I'm at. Now, so psychically, the country will continue to move left until there are major events to change the trend. Energy changes, but as of today, the end of 24 will not see significant changes in my view. A period of estrangement begins this year as we leave a period of corruption and greed. Democrats have an edge over the moment over the Republicans. That can change because I felt like Biden could still win the election if there had been a change. I made my predictions right before the South Carolina primary, in which he won overwhelmingly, and that catapulted him into the nomination. And then the cycle of media and the anti-Trump machine got on board, and he didn't have a chance. So that's just kind of what I see from here. And I've gone way too long. I did my 30 minutes. So that's it. So discussion is positive and negative. And so we have to use energy, and the trends are important because as a psychic, that's all I can go by because I follow energy paths. So I see a chat here, and okay. So we had one of our people leaving, but I appreciate them telling me. But I'm going to go ahead and stop our share. So this is going to be the end of our recorded part of our YouTube and Meetup portion. And so we're going to go to live to any discussion that we might have with anyone else who has joined our group. So thank you very much for joining us. And thank you, Annmarie. And if you have a moment, please stay with us for our after show, if you want to call it that. So thank you very much, and we'll see you next month. Bye-bye from Beyond Metaphysics and John Cappello. Bye-bye.